The Springboks showcased their depth as they beat the Azzuri. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. This was a bit of a mixed performance from the Springboks as they allowed Italy to come back at them in the second half. But right from the kickoff, they start well, applying lots of pressure. Azzuri charges down Fusco, and Italy managed to kick clear. And unfortunately for South Africa, Pollard actually knocks on from that kick. But Azzuri from then kind of found it hard to get his timing right, which he charged down on Fusco. And a lot of the time, he seemed to have gone a little bit early, and the referee pulled him up on it a few times as well. And then Fusco was doing a clever thing by just kind of twitching his shoulder to kind of make him go for it as well. So, like, not a dummy, but at the same time, like, it was, just that little thing that caused him to kind of false start. Then the Boks put pressure on at scrum time, and they come up fast in defence as well. Italy managed to scramble the ball in field before kicking to Witt, but it beats everybody into touch. We then have a high tackle on Brandenburg, and Pollard kicks the Boks to about 10 metres out from the line. Vincent Chituka takes the line out on his Springbok debut, his official Springbok debut, because he played against the Barbarians, obviously an uncapped game. But delighted for him, because he's been one of the players I've really enjoyed watching coming through in the URC over the last couple of years. So brilliant that he was on there. He takes the line out. Then a couple of phases later, carries strongly to get them to about 5 metres out from the line. Italy's defence then pushes South Africa back to about 10 metres out. Dialende, though, he kicks through, and Creel gets there first to ground. We have a TMO check to see if he was offside. On field is try, and there's not enough conclusive evidence, to rule the try out. So I think it's fair. Like, if the call had been on field no try, you could have, it would have conclusive the other way as well. Inconclusive the other way. So fair enough, try stands. Referee can only make that decision in a split second. And even with the TMO checking from a few different angles, couldn't work it out. So it makes sense to give the try, converted by Pollard, 7 points to 0. Creel then, captain the Springboks today for the first time, and he's come up with a try on that as well, just to add some icing on that cake. So brilliant for him as well. It's been a really great player for South Africa. Hands in on the ground from Italy, and South Africa get another chance to enter the 22. They move off the top of the line out. Strong carry from Dialende gets him about 5 metres out, but then the ball is spilled in contact. Italy get the ball in and out quickly from the scrum, because they really are under pressure in there, and then they kick it clear. But it's not the best kick, and yet that Boks dominance in the scrum, before this, they'd already pushed Italy off their own ball once as well, and just kind of coming through on them like that. So Italy real struggles there. Then Italy, they're not offering anything in attack really at this stage, and the best they produced was a bit of decent defense, a double hit on Azzuri that drove him backwards, but still they're just stoking up too much pressure, you feel. And they do eventually kind of work their way over halfway line. They've got some extended possession, but again, they not really going anywhere with it. They get turned over. Dialende with a clever kick in behind. Trula gets caught, but then he manages to offload, close to his own line to, I think it was it Lina, and then it's booted clear from behind their own line anyway. And yeah, you feel like there's still a good chance for the Boks from the resulting line out. Then massive pressure on that Italy line, and they're giving away penalties. Lorenzo Canone goes to the bin for cynically playing the ball while he was off his feet. It's right in front of the post, and the box, elect for a scrum. Why wouldn't you when you're absolutely dominating? They drive the scrum then between the posts, and Van den Berg dives over to score at the back, converted for 14 points to 0. Then Chituka is offside, and Italy decide, they need to get something on the board, so they call for the tee, and De Rey slots that over for 14 points to 3. The box then, they move the ball off the top of a line out. Aronsa comes on a lovely line and through a gap at, right at that tail between the end of the line out and the start of the defensive line, and then, steps, puts on some footwork, and over he goes. That's converted for 21 points to 3. Just, so difficult to himself and Colby, just two really difficult wingers to, to actually deal with when they're on that form, stepping like that and with that pace. And it just shows, you don't have to be like a massive player out on the wing to be very effective. From here then, South Africa applying more pressure on the Italy line. It's dogged defense from Italy, but problem is, by the time they actually manage to turn the ball over or force a knockdown, they've already conceded a penalty advantage. So it's really hard for them to relieve any pressure at all. Box, they elect for another scrum from a penalty 5 metres out. Italy's scrum this time is stronger, but it doesn't really matter because Van den Berg sells a dummy and then goes over to score, converted for 28 points to 3, and that was the halftime score. Then we have a wayward kick from Italy that allows Willemse to run it back. He steps through the Italy defence and into the 22. They move it wide to Aronsa, who feeds Chituka, and he finishes in the corner. A try on his official box debut, but you have a TMO check, and there's obstruction from Oxenche in the build-up, and preventing the Italian from tackling Willemse right kind of towards the start of the move, so it's no try. Italy then, they go up the line, and from the line out, bit of a trick play. They basically called for, I think, 3 players on the line or something. Went for Isakor at the front, and then Esbeck gets pinged for playing the 9, so they kick to the corner. They move the ball wide right, line it down the touchline, the basketball offload back inside. South Africa still holding them out. Marks then tries a poach a few meters out from the line, but he doesn't have rights to it, so he has to step back. And as he steps back, then Zuliani picks and goes through the space that he leaves and over to score, converted by De Rey, 28 points to 10. We then have a long break in play as Lorenzo Canone gets treatment. Eventually has to go off on a cart, so wish him a speedy recovery. That one did not look good. South Africa worked the ball within a few meters of the line. They're picking and driving, at the line before Vincent Koch gets over to score, converted for 35 points to 10. Then Italy get over through a maul, which they drove basically from the edge of the 22 all the way over the line, with Dimchev scoring on his debut, converted for 35 points to 17. Yeah, and once they got that maul going, South Africa just could not halt it. Italy then worked the ball wide. Lina goes for a chip over Aronsa close to the line. Aronsa deals with it really well, but then Italy turned the ball over a couple of phases later. Nicola Canone then goes over under the post, and it's given after a TMO check. They were checking, if he kind of had a double movement because there's a bit of a roll in there, but it was fine. That's converted for 35 points to 24. South Africa then on the line, lots of pressure, on Italy. They go wide to Leroux. He gives it to Aronsa on the switch. He gets stopped short of the line. Then they move it inside to Chituka. He's stopped in the shadow of the post. Then finally they recycle it, and Marco van Staden is able to get over, converted for 42 points to 24. Then Isakor goes to the bin for an infringement earlier in that defensive set. And finally then, Italy, they thought they actually had a final score right at the death, clock in the red, but it got ruled out because there was not releasing, I think, earlier in the move. So South Africa then get the ball off the field. Full time is 42 points to 24. So, South Africa, I think certainly the first half was better than the second half in their performance. But, bringing some players through there, like a lot of kind of the frontline players not, involved in this one as well. But still, very effective in the first half. They got themselves out to a decent lead. They won't, feel good about the fact that they let Italy come back into the game. And that's certainly something for them to work on for the second test. But you have to say as well, even though Italy did get a few scores in the second half, you never really felt like there was truly enough momentum with Italy to actually come back and threaten, to win the game. So, South Africa, a decent win for them. In terms of Italy then, they got some players injured. They've obviously picked, rested some players as well and picked younger players too. So for, the caliber of the squad that they picked to be able to perform that way in the second half, that's a good sign for them, I think, and, that, I think for them, that's the kind of thing they're going to have to take out of this series, because the Springboks are just, I think far too much depth. And we just saw it again on display in this one that, even if, Italy were playing the same way as they did in the second half for the full 40, I think the Springboks still, would have found a way to win that game. But it does kind of, the good thing I think about Italy's performance in the second half is it kind of sets up the second test nicely, that you're thinking, okay, can Italy, produce that again before 80 minutes? But then you look at the box and you think, okay, well, what happened in the second half where they were allowing Italy back into the game? Can they sort those issues out and kind of play to their strengths? Like one of the issues I think for the Springboks in this game was, and it's something that you see a lot with, the Super Rugby teams, especially the Bulls, where the forwards will be dominant and they keep it as a 10-man game. And I think they did that at times where, they could have gotten over it much easier for scores, or gotten over scores that they eventually didn't get over for as well, by using the forwards to suck in that defense, which they did, but then they never actually looked to their width when it was on as well, at crucial times in the game. So certainly stuff for the Springboks to iron out there. But, Italy, yeah, they're a decent team, and to put 40 odd points on them, is no mean feat either. This isn't like, this Italy team, when they're not on it, because we saw it in the World Cup, we saw it at times in the Six Nations as well. When they're not on it, heads go down and they get absolutely blasted off the pitch. But when they're fighting the way they did today, they can be a difficult team to beat. So, I think decent from the Springboks, but certainly improvement for them. And for Italy, as I said, they need to find a way to get that second half performance going for the whole game. So yeah, definitely an interesting second test coming up there. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.